What's up, guys? So back with you just to discuss Wednesday evening because I didn't give my analysis on the NHL and NBA plays this morning. Had to get the hell out of here, so I just gave just a quick rundown. I gave you my plays, did the Major League Baseball analysis, and I think I probably probably played too many games today. It's not doing well. We're about to be 2-4 probably, and if the Dodgers money line doesn't hit, that's going to be a little bit of a hit there, which is not good on that money line favorite there. The Yankees money line did hit already, so we can talk about that. Actually, we can bring up the board too. Why not? And analyze these games real quick. Like what happened with the market? Was I right on the market read? I mean, these games only played like a few hours after after I did the show. So hold on, let me see. Yankees, I mean, obviously I got the game right. They were winning 4-0 in the ninth inning of that game, by the way. So that game, I mean, I would say I think I probably got it right. Where is it? Yankees, they were up from minus 137 to minus 158, 92% of the cash. The money did come in on them. The under in the first 5 innings in this Cubs game, just an absolute joke, dude. And it looks like the under did get the cash here. As you can see, 71% of tickets on the full game, 52% of tickets, 71% of the cash. That game, it all came down to one bad inning from Imanaga, who is an excellent pitcher. I don't know how it happened, man. It was a 1-0 game into the bottom of the fourth inning, and I'm like, well, we got this one, no sweat. Under 4.5. 1 run scored by the Cubs in the bottom of the fourth. I mean, they have a good offense. I'm like, okay. 1-1 going into the fifth. Let's just avoid having 3 runs scored in the fifth. And what happens? Imanaga, one of the best pitchers in baseball, gives up 2 home runs, I think, in that inning. Maybe it was one of the 2, and a 4 spot. And that just kills the under completely. All of a sudden, it's a 6-run score at that point. Absolutely ridiculous. And that kind of threw off the people who played the under in the full game. At least I guess they probably got a push if they played under 8. 7.5 would have wound up losing. Just absolutely ridiculous on that game. I'm pissed about it. I thought that was the right call. So that was that one. So that was a loser. The Padres and A's going over, not going to happen at all. That game's almost over, and it was we're fucked in that game. It's 2-1 in the ninth. I mean, what could you do? The money came in on the over in that game, man, from 9 to 9.5, 86% of the cash, 81% of the tickets. So I think the money was on the over, especially in that stadium. Didn't work out. Arizona, as you can see right there on my screen, is about to win on the money line there. They actually dropped to only 51% of the cash, so kind of a square play there. But I hate Dean Creamer, man, as I talked about this morning, so I liked that play. The market read wasn't there on that one, but whatever. And then I'm going to lose on the under in the, or already lost on the under in the Reds Giants game. Martinez Verlander did not get that one done for us. That one, the cash did actually come in the over a little bit, even though the total had dropped slightly, but maybe I should have stayed off of that, really, especially because Verlander at this age is really kind of a question mark now, and maybe we have to treat him differently now and not just look at the matchup numbers and whatever. So you'll learn on that one, and hopefully we do get the Dodgers here. They shot up to minus 189, so I actually got a really good number on this. So they were just losing. They were winning the game, I think, early in the game by multiple runs, and then they blew the whole thing. They were just losing 5-4, and now it's tied 5-5. So now we get down to the Dodgers bullpen. I mean, hopefully our chances are good on that one still, because I really don't want to lose a big money line play there. I don't know that it was the right side at this point, even though the market read was on it. But as far as, so I beat the closing number on it. But as far as the game is played out, I don't know if we can really say it was the right side, but we do have the Dodgers with the better bullpen out of the two teams and the better offense out of the two teams. So hopefully that can get that one through in the end there. I don't know. We will see. And then tonight I do have the White Sox, as I said, similar to yesterday. You can go watch my analysis this morning. I'm just looking at the money, and holy crap, the money has come in on the White Sox. Down from minus 205 on Cleveland, down to minus 150. 86% of tickets, 77% of the cash. So yeah, that market read is pretty strong. Money just flooding in on the White Sox in that one. So I like that I took that one. I told you I have the first 5 under in this pitching matchup between Anaheim and Tampa, even though one thing I did forget is that Tampa is also playing in a minor league stadium, although it has not had the over effect like the A's stadium has. And the A's, you could tell that's a genuine over effect, even though that over is not going to happen today. The A's, I mean, they're a terrible offense, and if all their games are going over, I mean, then that kind of tells you something there in that game. That has not been the case with Tampa. They're playing because Tropicana Field got ruined by that hurricane. They're playing in not a spring train. They are playing in a spring training facility, not a minor league facility, but they're playing at the Yankees spring training stadium, I believe, which is ridiculous, especially when the Yankees come into town and they're used to the stadium. Really ridiculous. But it looks like the money has come in on the under there. And it looks like under 8 is juiced a little bit more on the full game. 83% of the cash compared to only 56% of the tickets. So I like that one. Only going with the starting pitching matchup in that one. And then, of course, I'm on the over in the over conducive Coors Field game there with two terrible pitchers who actually have ERAs that make them look better than they are right now. Go watch my analysis this morning. That line is flipped to the over, and it looks like most of the cash is coming in on the over. I mean, it's probably not a game the public's going to get that involved in. I mean, they like overs, but I don't know if they like overs with a high total like that with two. With at least one really bad team in the Rockies and another team that I don't know if they're paying that much attention to the Brewers, really. Anna, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Well, I didn't realize the StreamYard banner was actually a banner there, and you can't even get rid of it. You can actually show it. That's bizarre. I just accidentally put that one up. Anna, thanks for hanging out for my evening stream here. Let's go to NBA, I guess. Were there any other games? Actually, I guess I could talk about Philly-Atlanta because that's coming up in an hour. That's a good game. Money is coming in Atlanta up from -109 to -147. 66% of the cash on them and 54% of tickets coming in on Philly. So the money is coming in on Atlanta. I don't really necessarily disagree with that if you force me to take a side on this one. I just don't really want to do it because I think both pitchers are really difficult to handicap. Well, not difficult to handicap necessarily, but they're both pitchers I don't really want to be on. Taijuan Walker's the worst pitcher in Philly's rotation, and he's a mess, and he has really bad numbers against the Braves. And one other thing I will say about the Braves is that with their really bad start to the season, their record is worse than the team actually is. So I think you will probably get some value on them, and maybe it's the case in a game like this where they're facing a bad pitcher that they actually hit pretty well in Walker. Grant Holmes is pitching, and I mean, you got to like the guy's style, right? He's got like the curly mullet and the Fu Manchu mustache or whatever. Looks like Rod Beck out there or something. So you kind of got to like that guy. Looks like one of the old school tobacco chewing pitchers from like my time, basically. So you got to kind of root for him just for that reason. But I don't know that he's that great. And Philly's hitters actually hit him pretty well as well. So I do agree with the market read if you force me to lean some way in this game, but I'm not going to touch it. So I just figured I would talk about that because it is the only like kind of big game that I didn't touch on this morning. And then Minnesota, Kansas City, I will say Joe Ryan and Seth Lugo, both pitching pretty well last year and this year so far. Both have good numbers against the opposing hitters. Joe Ryan actually completely dominates Kansas City's hitters, so I would probably lean in his direction in that game over Lugo. Lugo does have good numbers as well. So an under could also be a way to look in this game. The total down from 8 juice to the under to 7.5 juice to the over. I haven't played anything in this game, but the money's slightly coming in on the under. It looks like with 65% of tickets on the over, only 53% of the cash on the over. Joe Ryan, Minnesota's flipped from plus 107 to minus 107 there. And I think it is because the professional bettors like Joe Ryan more than Seth Lugo. Ryan, again, in a pretty big sample size. He holds Kansas City to like below a 200 batting average lifetime, which is quite good. Seth Lugo has held Minnesota to some like low 200s batting average as well, so not too bad on his part either. 55% of tickets on Kansas City, 59% of the cash coming into Minnesota. The Minnesota really not getting the public love, and they're not going to get my love in hockey, by the way. So let's go over to hockey here, which we might be able to get a better number on that game as well, by the way, giving it out now. We're looking at hockey here. I am on 2 games here, and oh boy, I don't even know what I even want to talk about with these games, man. Toronto at Tampa Bay, both of these teams are going to make the playoffs, so either both teams or neither teams have motivation, depending on how you look at it, because both teams are going to get in, but both teams probably are going to want to show up because they know they're both playing another playoff team. And these teams have had kind of this rivalry recently where the teams have met up in the playoffs a couple of times recently. Tampa, I think, won one of those series, and Toronto won the other. if I'm not mistaken. Tampa up for minus 150 to minus 190. 59% of tickets, 79% of the cash coming in on this. So the money is coming in on Tampa. I don't really have a lean on that one. The Rangers are like pretty much on the verge of elimination here, so they absolutely need to win this game, but they're laying a price that is telling you they need to win, as they're up from minus 175 to minus 190, and the price is probably too expensive, so I don't like that one either. 89% of tickets, 91% of the cash coming in on the Rangers. Where I am going to go, though, is I'm going to play on this awful San Jose Sharks team against what I think is an overrated. Where do I have that? I have it in the banner still, right? Oh, no, I don't, because I didn't have them this morning. I apologize. So, actually, let me see what the number is right now. What's the best number that we can get on this right now? Let me see. I got to look at it real quick. I think Minnesota's overrated, as I've been saying. Basically, every show that I talk about baseball, I talk about how overrated. Dodgers took the lead, by the way. Hold on to it, baby, even though I don't even like the Dodgers. Let's go. So if that in Arizona comes in, we're not looking that bad today so far. So let's see. San Jose, where are we at? You can get them at plus 1.5 on the puck line right now at plus 115. So that's probably what I would do. So let's put that in. Plus 1.5 at plus 115, and then it'll basically just be like a spread bet on San Jose, and then we'll throw a little bit on the money line as well along with that. So as far as this is concerned, I just don't think the spot is very good for Minnesota, man. And I honestly don't think they have that much to play for at this point. I told you that Minnesota is an overrated team, as I already mentioned a few seconds ago, and I keep mentioning every show that I do, even though they are laying a huge price here, because San Jose does suck. But look at what Minnesota's coming off of, man. They were in a return home spot off a tough road trip, and they beat Dallas, which is a huge win against Dallas, especially considering it was a return home spot as well. Dallas, one of the best teams in the West. Return home spot where you're usually going to be a little bit distracted, but Minnesota actually showed up and won the game. And I do want to look at the standings here to illustrate this. Hold on, let me get this up. Where am I at? NHL, come on, man. Yeah, standings. All right, so Minnesota, they're pretty much locked into a wild card spot here. As you can see here, they are in the second wild card spot right now. I don't know that they really care. I mean, is it really that much motivation to try to overtake the other wild card team? No, I don't really think it is. They're in the Central, so they're 7 points behind getting out of the wild card spot to overtake the Avalanche, so that's probably not going to happen. And as far as falling out of the wild card, that's not going to happen either, because they're 7 points ahead of Utah, who's the only team not left eliminated. So Minnesota's basically, they're locked into one of these wild card spots. So this game, I don't really think has that much meaning to them. And who do they have up next? They got Calgary up next. And Calgary is, I believe, one of the other teams is still fighting for a wild card. Let me see. Are they? Did I get that wrong? Because I just said Utah was the only team left. But what about Calgary? Calgary's been, let me see. Did they move up? I apologize. Great content, by the way. Let me see. I think I was not looking at the wild card standings. That's why. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so, yeah, sorry. Minnesota's 4 points ahead, so not as much as I said, but they still have a bit of a gap there. But Calgary is the team that's closest behind them and really the only team that can catch them. And basically all they have to do is beat Calgary to stop that from happening. Who do they play next? Calgary in 2 days. So I think this is a sandwich spot. They don't even need to win this game by margin here. They could win by 1 and will still win the bet. So I think it's a bad spot. Minnesota has been playing some pretty decently low-scoring games as well. Gustafsson has been playing a lot of games, although they've had 2 days off, so maybe he will play again here. But again, I think it's a sandwich spot. That Calgary game, and they actually have Vancouver up after that, and Vancouver is the other team that's right behind Calgary as far as trying to fight to get into the wild card spot. So those 2 games are a lot bigger than this game against San Jose, even though obviously they would get some points by beating San Jose. But I just think this line is way too high at this point. San Jose, on the other hand, I actually think they're in an okay spot as far as the fact that they're trying to play out the stretch here. They're starting a road trip, and when you start a road trip, you usually tend to be focused just because you want to try to play well in that first game on the road trip. I don't think San Jose has given up. They played pretty close games recently. So I like how it sets up better for San Jose. So that's what I'm going to do there. I know it's ridiculously ugly, but Washington Wizards were ugly last night, and they covered. And then we got St. Louis and Edmonton is an interesting one. Edmonton's down from -145 to -106, yet 62% of tickets and only 59% of the cash on St. Louis. I don't know what has caused that move on Edmonton, because when you see a move like that, usually it corresponds with the cash percentage on the other side, but it isn't in this game. So this is a weird game, and usually it's not really going to be like a goalie switch or really any personnel change is really going to do that. Edmonton, I know their goalies haven't been good recently. Skinner, I think, is hurt as well. So I don't even know what they're going to be doing in this game, but I just don't understand why the line has moved like that. I don't love St. Louis in this spot because they did just lose their long win streak. I mean, you have a long win streak like this. They hadn't lost for almost a month since March 15th, and they had a big game against Winnipeg and lost. And when that happens, a lot of times that hangs you over into the next game. So I actually don't really agree with this line move. Edmonton is returning home from a road trip, though, so maybe that has something to do with it. Returning home from going to the Pacific Coast for 4 games, so that is actually a bad spot as well for Edmonton. So actually, both teams are in bad spots here, and I don't know who I would lean towards, actually. Edmonton will have Picard back in net, probably. Skinner, I think, is hurt, and Rodrigue played in their last game, or Rodrigue. I think it's Rodrigue, probably. Rodrigue, the French guy, probably played in the last game, or he did play in the last game there, so he won't play tonight. But I don't know, man. So I think I would tough read. That's why I'm not playing that game. I mean, Edmonton returning home for a road trip. St. Louis, like I said, obviously in a bad spot as well, in a hangover spot. I think of losing that win streak, and neither team really has that much to play for as far as the playoffs is concerned. So they're both going to be in the playoffs at this point. St. Louis in the wild card right now. So I don't think there's really a whole lot, although can St. Louis actually move out of the wild card? Oh, actually, they can. This is actually a huge game. Never mind. I am mistaken. St. Louis is actually tied with Edmonton. It seems so weird because they were so far behind not that long ago. They're actually tied with Edmonton, so they could actually knock Edmonton into a wild card spot, which would be absolutely crazy if that happens. St. Louis coming from out of nowhere to get into the playoffs and bypass the wild card even would be totally insane. So maybe a little bit more motivation actually on the St. Louis side for that reason, and because it's against the defending champs. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot going on there. I think it's a big game for both teams, which I think is why the under actually makes sense here, even though it's a bad spot for both teams. When they're two good teams, you know me, I like to play overs a lot of times when it's two bad teams because the defensive intensity isn't there. When the game is a bad spot for both teams. When it's two good teams, I think the defensive intensity will still be there. So the money is coming in on the under, down from 5.5 juice to the over to 5.5 juice to the under. 65% of the tickets on the over, but 65% of the cash on the under. And then my final play is on the Calgary game, which I was able to find Calgary -140, and I think you probably can't find that now. So if you want to try to play this game, I gave it out this morning. I think at around -145 or so, and it was around -140 this morning, which I think is what I played this morning. But you can get whatever number you can on this. It's gone up a bit from -130 to -152, but I like the Calgary side, even though they're laying a big price against a bad team. They are public, and they need to win. I know all that, so you're paying a little bit of a tax with them, but I do think they will win the game. I think the spot lines up for them pretty well. 82% of tickets, 91% of the cash coming in on them, but I think Anaheim is in a bad spot as they just beat Edmonton. Talking about Edmonton, the returning conference champs there. They beat Edmonton in a return home spot. They did lose to Calgary on the road a little while ago, so I guess it is a little bit of a revenge spot for Anaheim, but when you're coming off winning over Edmonton and you really got nothing left to play for, Anaheim's an eliminated team. I don't know, man. And they got LA up next. That's a big LA area kind of rivalry game against their bigger brother, basically, in the LA area. So I really don't know if quick revenge against Calgary matters that much. The game matters more to Calgary, man. I mean, Anaheim's just playing out the stretch at this point, and they are coming off that huge win over Edmonton. Calgary, on the other hand, they got to get some wins here, and they just broke a loss streak with a win over San Jose. Actually, they only had one loss, excuse me. They had lost a few games in there. They beat San Jose barely, 3-2, to start off the road trip. So I do think they're going to be focused here because they're still, like I just pointed out, they're playing to try to get a wild card spot still. So they can't afford to take their foot off the gas, even though that Minnesota game that's upcoming is big. They got to keep winning games, and they're up against an inferior team who is in a bad spot. So I am going to take Calgary in that game. And now let's go over to NBA, and then I'll get out of here. There are a lot of NBA games today. And again, the NBA, I can bring up the standings in the NBA too, because they're ridiculous as well. We got a lot of NBA games here, I think, today. It's just, oh my God, the card is just so crazy. But at least I could skip talking about a lot of the games here because a lot of the games are totally meaningless. Boston at Orlando, though, I mean, you look at this line, obviously, you know this means the Celtics are resting players here. Magic have flipped from a 3-point dog, or 3.5-point dog, which is what they would be probably if the Celtics are playing everybody. Now they're an 8-point favorite with juice, 60% of the cash and tickets on them. I mean, I wouldn't lay 8 points with the Magic, okay? I think the line has gotten way out of hand. It's gotten way too far. This morning it was 4.5. So if you wanted to, I would have pointed it out. If you wanted to lay the 4.5 this morning, even that I think was getting a little bit pricey, but obviously you would have crushed the closing number if you did that. The Celtics are on a back-to-back here. They just beat the Knicks in overtime last night in a big game that could be a potential playoff preview. Celtics just continue to handle the Knicks. So that was a huge game for them, huge win. This game, I think the Celtics just don't even care about. They're on the back-to-back, and there you go. The Celtics' entire starting lineup basically is out for this game. It looks like Jaylen Brown is playing, but everybody else plus Horford are all out. So 5 of the Celtics' top 6 are out for this game, which is completely insane. So that tells you why the line is where it is. Orlando probably is going to be motivated. They probably want to get the win here. The Celtics have actually not played that well against Orlando in the last couple of seasons. The Orlando is not as good this season as they have been in the past. But Orlando, one thing they do pretty well, actually, though, is defend the 3. And obviously the Celtics game is the 3. Although they're going to have a lot of bench players coming in, but it will still be the 3 with Pritchard and Hauser in there. They'll still be jacking it up from downtown. But the Celtics, I don't even know that they're really going to show up and put in a full effort here because Orlando is going to be one of the play-in teams. And if Orlando gets the 7 seed, the Celtics are locked into the 2. The Celtics have nothing to play for. So that's another reason why they're going to rest everybody here, if I didn't make that clear. They absolutely are locked into the 2 seed. But that being the case, Orlando could be their opponent in the first round if Orlando is the 7. So if you're the Celtics, why would you want to show Orlando what your game plan is going to be for them if you're going to face them in the playoffs? So again, this game doesn't matter at all. If you were getting a better price on Orlando, it might be worth a look. I would not lay 8 points with Orlando either, though. But it looks like a game where the Celtics are just not going to show up at all. ESPN, first game, we got Lakers-Dallas, and we got, now I believe we have the true trade matchup here because the last time we had it, I was on Dallas, and I think Dallas covered and lost at LA, I believe, the last time. And that was with Luka playing for LA, but AD was out, of course, because the first game that he played for the Mavericks, he got hurt. But now AD is back, baby. So the Mavs, I actually think they're being undervalued, man. I'm tempted to play the Mavs here. I don't know. Maybe I should, because this is a pretty big trade plus kind of revenge angle here, because Dallas has more to play for in this game, in my opinion, as well, which I'll talk about in a second. They're returning home from a road trip, and they have 4 days off, and all they did was go to LA for 2 games, and now they're coming back. This is on ESPN. It's a huge game. They have 3 days off. So I almost said 4, but 3 days, or I did say 4, excuse me, 3 days off. So they have a lot of time off here. And last time they played LA, where was it? Because I'm pretty sure I was on Dallas, right? Where was the game? Why don't I see it? There it is. They lost 107-99, so they just came within that number. I think it was +9 or so in that game. They just came in within that number. But remember, this game, dude, the Lakers have not been playing very well. And in this game, you did have P.J. Washington and Kyrie Irving. So I guess that's one thing. Irving did play in this game. AD did not play in the game. And Gafford, is that his name, did not play in the game either. So we're going to have a completely different Dallas lineup coming into this game with those guys back for Dallas. Of course, Kyrie is now out. But it looks like, so all these other guys are back, though. So in that previous matchup, Dallas was with Kyrie, but they were without Gafford and AD, and both of those guys will be back in this game. And I think they might have been missing one other guy, too, who might be back now. So Dallas has basically a complete roster now, except that they're missing Kyrie. And I think they're like revenge, or they want to prove that trade wasn't as horrible as people claim. But if you look at standings here, yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. All these teams between LA at number 3, the Lakers, all the way down to the 8, Minnesota, are all separated by 2 games, which is ridiculous. I know, but LA is at least 2 games or 1 game ahead atop everybody, and they're basically, I mean, yeah, they're 1 game from falling into the play-in, but they're almost close to like 2 games away from falling into the play-in. Dallas, I mean, they're playing for a little bit more, I think, because I think they don't want to be the 10 seed here. If they can get up to the 9, I think that would be a little bit more advantageous to them. And, of course, they also can clinch being in the play-in tonight with a win. The magic number is 1. The Suns have been playing brutal basketball. I mean, it's not going to happen. Like, the Suns are not going to get in, all right? Dallas is going to get that play-in spot, but I really do think Dallas is going to show up in this game. I'm tempted to take this. I'm looking at it right now. Maybe I will. One of these last-minute ads here. If Dallas needed the game more, it would be even better, but they are getting points at home. Lakers up from 4.5 to 5 here. 80% of tickets, 77% of the cash on the Lakers. They are public with less of the cash on them. You can probably get about 5 on Dallas here. The game, I think, matters more to Dallas. And for the LA Lakers, they're coming off losing 2 games to OKC. Those are 2 big games, man, to OKC. Although the Lakers, I believe, did rest some guys in this game. Although LeBron actually played. Wait, did they not? Oh, no, they didn't, because that's right. Luka got ejected from this game. Totally ridiculous game. The Lakers, that was a big emotional step-up game, man. And now they're actually kind of playing a game that I think matters more to Dallas here, because Dallas is kind of the lowly, below 500 team that everybody thinks lost that trade and whatever. I think Dallas is going to be heavily motivated here. I'm pretty tempted to do it. LA, the Lakers, I mean, with that switch to Luka, their defense has gotten worse, man, and it's starting to show. The Lakers' win margin is actually not that good this year. And Dallas, their record is a little bit worse than they actually are right now because they went through that stretch with so many players out. I think I'm going to do it. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. It is evening for me, my man. I'm going to do it. Fuck it. I'm going to play Dallas plus 5 here. Let's get it going. Let's just be a total degenerate here, man. Why not? We'll play on that one of the ESPN games. A lot of these other games are just like, yeah, I just really don't even care. Golden State's laying 17.5 against San Antonio. Just absolutely insane what some of these games are going to do with the San Antonio without Wemba, of course, or whatever. They might have other guys not playing in this game as well. They might be benching a lot of guys. So that line is just insane. Up from 15 to 17.5, 63% of tickets, 76% of the cash coming in. I'm not going to lay the points with the Warriors. I mean, yeah, they need to win, but they don't need to win by that margin. So, I mean, they just obliterated Phoenix, and that was last night, I'm pretty sure. So they might be feeling a little bit even high on themselves after that win over Phoenix. Now they're playing a 3rd game in 4 days. They need to win because they're in that cluster, and they would like to get out of the play-in spots. But, yeah, I mean, they don't need to win by a huge margin here. They just need to get in and get out on a back-to-back. So I would not lay that number. The Thunder are down from 12.5 to 7, though. Some money coming in on this Suns team that looks like they've totally given up. Although I think Durant might actually be back in this game, which is why the numbers moved like that to some extent. 80% of tickets and only 54% of the cash on OKC. Of course, OKC just played LA, the Lakers, and just beat them. So that was a big win for OKC, and OKC does not need the game here, and they're on a back-to-back. Oh, yeah, the Lakers are on a back-to-back. What am I saying? So that's even worse for the Lakers. Oh, hold on. I'm a mess right now, man. What can I say? They're on a back-to-back, and they're playing 3 games in 4 days, I think. Yeah, so, and 4 games in 6 days as well, and actually 5 games in 7 days. I didn't even realize that. They played the 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 8th, so they've only been off the 5th and the 7th here. Yeah, that's a bad rest spot for the Lakers as well, so I will be on Dallas in that one. OKC playing a 3rd game in 4 days, 4th game in 6 days. Not the greatest spot for them, obviously. And OKC long ago already wrapped up the 1 seed, so they really don't need this. So the spot really isn't a spot where you want to lay points with OKC, but Phoenix just looks like a dead team, man. So I don't know what you would want to do with this game. I mean, it just looks ridiculous. The money's coming in on the under, down from 230 to 228. 77% of tickets, only 70% of the cash on the over in that one, thinking that maybe the offense is just going to be lackluster with 2 teams that kind of just don't care anymore. Phoenix, I mean, yeah, this is it. They're dead if they don't win this game. If they lose, they're eliminated. So that's one thing that will motivate them. Looks like Kevin Durant is still not coming back in this game. So we will see. Thunder is still without Dort, and Hartenstein and SGA is actually out for this game as well. So kind of interesting there. A few guys out for OKC as they kind of gear up for the playoffs there. So it's interesting. I don't know what I would want to do with that game. The other game that I mentioned I'm going to play, and I mentioned it this morning, is on the Dallas Mavericks. Or, excuse me, the Denver Nuggets. I'm already on the Dallas Mavericks. The Denver Nuggets, both D teams, man, both big D. But I took the money line in this one, and the line has gotten a little bit away from you. So if you want to lay the points, maybe that's the way to go. But I found a money line earlier today at minus 150, and that was before I heard the news that Denver fired their coach today. Surprisingly, as they haven't been playing well. And you know what I say about fired coaches, man. When a team fires their coach, if the coach wasn't doing well and the players didn't like the coach, the players step up in that first game. It's a spark for the team a lot of times, and they play a lot better when that coach is out of there because it's kind of like a weight lifted off their shoulder because they didn't like playing for the guy. I believe they will have an interim coach who's like one of the assistant coaches, so he knows the system. The players probably know him, and maybe they like him better than they like, I don't even remember the guy's name, the coach that got fired. And the other thing about it is the players, I want to prove that the coach was the problem and that they weren't the problem. So the players tend to step up their game a little bit in a situation like that as well. So it goes twofold there. So the fire coaching spot is added on top of the reasons I already like. I already liked this game before I knew that was going to happen. The line's up from 1.5 to 4.5 on Denver. And yeah, I know you're laying a price with Denver on the road for sure. 4.5 with juice. 73% of tickets, 75% of the cash. The money is coming in on them. Like I said, I found a money line. If you can still find a money line in like the minus 170 range and you're a bit juice tolerant, I mean, I don't mind playing the game that way. I just want to have some money on Denver. So I'm going to be on both ESPN games, but it's actually easier to handicap these games because it's more of a like straight handicap as opposed to a gay handicap. It's more of a handicap where you know who the players are going to be in the game for the most part. You have at least one of the two teams is going to show up, or actually in both cases, both teams are going to show up and want to be focused here because Sacramento, yeah, I think they're going to show up because they're still fighting for a they're trying to make sure they've already clinched a play-in spot, but I guess they have less to play for, actually. What am I saying? So that's even better for me because Sacramento's the only play-in team that has actually technically clinched the play-in spots. They really don't have a whole lot to play for at this point. And I've been saying, yeah, if you're the 7 or the 8, you get a home play-in game, which I believe is true, but I forgot the way the play-in works is actually more ridiculous than that. So I believe the 7 hosts the 10, and if the winner of that game... Or no, actually, I'm wrong. It's the 7 and the 8. What am I saying? So the 9 will actually host a play-in spot, actually, or one of the playing games, I think. I don't even know. Yeah, I think actually what it is the 7 actually hosts the 8, but the 8 gets 2 chances at it, I think is the deal. So the 7 and the 8, the winner of that game gets the 7 seed. The loser of that game plays the winner of the 9-10. So the loser of the 9-10 is eliminated and is officially the number 10 team. The winner of that game plays the loser of the 7-8 for the 8 seed, and the winner of that game will get the 8 seed, and the other team will be out and fall to the 9 seed. So that's actually how it works. I totally forgot. This playing structure is so stupid, man. The NBA never should have done that. Like, why do you expand the playoffs such that, like, almost 3/4 of the teams make the playoffs now? It's so stupid. I guess you could argue that the play-in teams aren't really the playoff teams, and still 8 teams get in, but it's just for more money, man. It's just more scheming going on to have more games that they're trying to get people to watch, and it's just all kind of stupid, although it does set up some interesting betting opportunities, and I think I did pretty well last year. NBA playoffs for me tend to be really good, man, including these play-in games, so hopefully that continues. You can get some good angles there, but anyway, yeah, Sacramento, even though, yeah, they would want to keep the 9 seed to try to host this game, Dallas is playing, or not Dallas. Well, Dallas is playing to try to clinch, but Sacramento is playing for a lot less than Denver is right now. Denver is trying to host a playoff series, man. I mean, it would be pretty bad for them, really, if they wind up not even hosting a playoff series. And actually, they could fall into the play-in games completely, which would be even worse. So Denver, definitely has more reason to show up in this game, and just for that reason, not even considering the fired coach spot. So Denver has more to play for here. Sacramento's returning home from a road trip as well, a long road trip. They were on the road since March 29th, so add in that angle as well. We get the return home spot. Sacramento won the last 3 games on the road trip. They beat Cleveland. They didn't suffer the letdown going to Detroit after that, and I think I was on Detroit in that game, and it did not happen. Detroit was a favorite and didn't get it done, so Sacramento's coming off 2 straight upsets. They're playing a 3rd game in 4 days now, all in different cities, and having to return to the Pacific Coast. 4th game in 6 days, and actually a 5th game in 8 days, and a 6th game in 10, and it's actually a 7th in 12, all in different cities. And an 8th game in 14 days, with that first game being back home. So they have had almost no rest here as well. So this is a really bad spot for Sacramento. And as I say, when you return home, it does tend to be a bit of a distracted spot because the return home distractions come into play. Even if this is a big ESPN game against Denver, I think Sacramento is more apt to lose focus a little bit in this game if one of the teams is going to lose focus. I think Denver is the team that's least likely to do that. And Denver has lost 4 games in a row, man. So again, firing their coach at that point might help spark them. And also, they've had multiple days off, and they're just going on the road for this one game to Sacramento. So they have the better travel spot and the better rest spot here, as they haven't traveled as much. They haven't played as many games. I mean, in the same span that you saw Sacramento was playing like 8 games or whatever, this is only going to be a 6th game, I think, for Denver. So they're the more rested team here. Having that extra time off, plus the fired coach, can help break that losing momentum for them there. So I like all that, man. I think it's a much, much better spot for Denver to bounce back there. So for all those reasons, I like Denver. I'm getting my money in there on Denver, on the money line in this case, on the Nuggets. Charles, being a D-Gen, unfortunately. Well, I don't want to lose money, though, man. I want to be right. I want to get these. Yeah, you know who owns the teams, man. And they are, let's just say they have dual citizenship. They want to maximize the profits. Yeah, that's right. Let me see. Even Red Auerbach for the Celtics was one of those dudes, man. Although I like him, I've been watching a lot of historical Celtics documentaries. Even if they start kind of race baiting you a little bit, I like the historical documentaries, man. I like the Celtics. I'm pumped. Gonna go to some playoff games again. I want to root for the repeat, baby. Houston and the Clippers is the other good game tonight. Houston, though, I mean, they're pretty much locked into the 2 seed. They're a team that has a decent edge over the rest of these teams here, so I believe they're going to be the 2 seed. I mean, they're not. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible for them to drop out of the 2 seed, and obviously they can't get the 1 seed. So I think this is not a good spot for them. They have multiple days off, but it's after beating 3 teams in a row, including Oklahoma City and Golden State. 2 huge wins for Houston. Now they got to go out they're already on the Pacific Coast with a couple of days off. So, they get to adjust to the time zone difference. But they're facing the Clippers, and then they get the Lakers in Denver. And if you think they're going to be focused on any of those remaining games, or they're going to be unfocused in any of these remaining games, which game do you think it's going to be? I think it's going to be the Clippers because the other teams just have the much bigger names, man. So I think if Houston dogs one of these games, it's going to be this one. So I don't like the Houston side in this game. And again, they have way less to play for because, of course, the Clippers are in that whole pack of teams. It's the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Warriors, Grizzlies, T-Wolves. They're all within 2 games of each other, which is total madness. The Clippers are fighting to try to host a playoff series as well and to stay out of the play-ins, just like Denver is. So they have a similar motivation there. But the problem here is I do think you're laying too many points with the Clippers here, I would say. Which I'll look at the number in a minute. Clippers, they're coming off beating San Antonio and just staying at home. So they're on a nice they're on a bit of a win streak here, 5 wins in a row, but they're just staying at home. They are on a back-to-back, though, so be a little bit wary of that. But they didn't play great against San Antonio, so they're a 12.5-point favorite, and they didn't play well, but they kind of still cruised in this game and still only lost by 5, so I don't know. I don't know that they're really going to be that tired, and they did have multiple days off prior to that, and they're not traveling. So I do think the spot is still better for the Clippers here, even though it is a back-to-back, but they're up from 6.5 to 10.5 now here. 55% of tickets, 82% of the cash coming in on the Rockets. I do think this is an overreaction, though. The fact that this line is up to 10.5. I'm not going to lay the points in that one at that price, but Probably some of it has to do with, it looks like the Houston, because I think they're locked into the 2 seed, they're resting a lot of their guys here, man, to get ready for the playoffs. So Houston is not going to be at full strength. The Clippers are going to play basically as many of their guys as they can who are their actual starters. So the Rockets are going to be down a bunch of their starters. Or as you can see here, Smith isn't going to play. Van Vliet, their point guard, isn't going to play. So, Houston, I don't know Houston's guys as well, but they're going to be without a bunch of those guys. So maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction there. JC, what's up, man? Yeah, that's true. All right, that's going to do it for me, man. So we'll go over it one more time. We'll see how my other bets are doing here. But again, my bets that I have tonight that are still not going yet are the White Sox plus 1.5 on the run line at minus 135 and half on the money line at plus 160. But now I think it's down to like minus 150 or plus 150. So it's getting to the point where maybe if you want to just fire on the money line, you could do that and just try to win a lot, like bet a little bit to win a lot, basically, on the White Sox if you want to there. I have the Anaheim and Tampa Bay first 5 inning under 4 at plus 100. And I got the over 10.5 in the Coors Field event here, the Brewers and the Rockies, with 2 absolutely abysmal pitchers. You can go watch me make fun of them in my morning video. I got the awful San Jose Sharks just on the puck line with a little bit sprinkled on the money line there. In what I think is not a good spot for the Wild, and a good spot for Calgary at minus 140 on the money line. And then in the NBA, I got the Dallas Mavericks plus 5 or whatever it's going to be. Denver money line minus 150, but again, you got to lay a bit more than that now, or lay minus 4.5 now on them if you really want to. I've taken some hits trying to play these road teams down the stretch that are laying like around 4 points in good spots, and they just haven't covered for me. Dallas absolutely should have in that game that they wound up not covering. They were up double digits. The one that I lost on Memphis, I think, was a little bit more questionable, but I still think it was the right side. And I think I beat the number on both. And let's just look at what my other bets are doing today before I get out of here. Tower Gang tonight. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter and patreon.com/Tower Gang to support the podcast. We will be with you at 9:11 p.m. tonight with another hilarious, massively offensive episode. What do we got going on with the MLB, man? Just tell me. Oh, my God. The White Sox is already in action. Actually, they started at 6:10. I apologize. And the White Sox are already losing the game. Come on, man. They're an anti-public. What are you doing? Sean Burke. You got to, come on, man. Logan Allen sucks, man. So I'm going to lose that one, too, it looks like. And then what do we get with the... Just tell me the Dodgers hung on for that win. Oh, God, they're still playing in the top of the 9th. They are still winning by 1. So if that loses, we're going to be taking a really big hit right now. If that wins, we'll at least be close to breaking even on the day, I think, so far. So you better tell me the Dodgers pull that off, even though I got to root for the Yankees and the Dodgers today. It's such a bad day, man. Oh, sorry, I stopped sharing my screen, but that's going to do it for me. Tower Game, baby. Tower Game for life. That's right. 9:11 p.m. tonight. Patreon.com/Tower Gang. Tower Gang Toad. Peace.